Courtney. I'm Dr. Leah.
This is Dr. Sylvia.
And we are
Three Friends Talk.
Oh, you can repeat.
It's the same song?
I've been listening to this song for like 2 weeks. Thank you. Thank you for the repeat.
My house clean, my pool warm, just shake smooth like a newborn. We should be dancing.
Was that T'Challa?
Yeah.
Well, it's Wednesday
Making
night.
a guest appearance.
Oh, okay. Let me cut down my song. I'm sorry.
Thank
Love
you.
that song.
We see.
It's Wednesday night. You love that version of the song? Yes, the original. Yes, because I tried to sing you. Was it Chloe's version? No, Chloe. No, it's not the same. It don't hit the same. Sorry. Okay, girl. Hey, Dr. Leah. Hey, Dr. Sylvia. What's poppin'? Y'all look great tonight, Leah. I'm loving the new hairdo. So, are you on mute? You're on mute. Because her dog is acting up. Must be T'Challa. Yes. So, Dr. Sylvia, last time we were on, we mentioned our initiative for Three Friends Talk for our listeners to be able to support us and have a coffee with us. And it is called Buy Me a Coffee. And it was a hit. I think a lot of our listeners enjoyed that, being able to engage with us. And so many people got us coffees. You know how much coffee I've been drinking? I'm wired. How much coffee, Dr. Craney? About 100 coffees. Well, you must have bought yourself some. No, ma'am. We will definitely shout out our and we need to do a song friends. Like Chance and Tab. Okay. What kind of song is that? Just roll with me. I'm going rolling with you. You bought me a coffee. You bought us a coffee. Maurice, thank you. Alana, thank you. Dr. P, thank you. Gus, thank you. Miss Brooks, thank you. I looked up and saw your face, and it took me out of my flow. Keep going. Come on. I gotta do the chorus again. You bought us a coffee. You bought us a coffee. Super friend Donald, Keisha, Dr. Jared, Liz, and Dr. Neka. You bought us a coffee. You bought us a coffee. We'll be better prepared with the little Billy Bob next time. Dr. Leah, did you approve?
Yeah.
Y'all some haters. Oh my goodness. But yes, really, you guys, we really appreciate the support. Dr. Neka, Liz Walker Tremue. I'm gonna put her whole name out there.
Not the government name.
Yes. I think she wanted to be anonymous, so that's what I just said. She's fine. She's fine. Name. Dr. Jared, Keisha, Donald, thank you so much. Deanna. She's one of our faithful listeners to the show. And the other names that Sylvia mentioned. Sylvia, you mentioned Maurice, Alana, Dr. P.
Super friend Alana. Super friend Dr. P.
Yes. Super friend Dr. Jared. Super friend Dr. Neka. No, but we really appreciate the support, y'all. And we're going to keep on doing a good job. We got some exciting stuff coming for you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. April is going to be big. So more to come. Also, our YouTube channel is up and running. Dr. Sylvia, Dr. Leah, share.
We got YouTube. Yay! Oh.
I should you all didn't know.
I did broadcast us to YouTube.
Please. You all have been subscribing to our show on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel there as well. Dr. Leah, are you going to put that in the chat for them? You know, she's our producer, everyone.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. I don't have it right now, but I got it.
Yay. So, okay, so spring break is coming up, you guys. They were acting crazy in Miami. I think they had something tragic to happen in Miami.
Oh my goodness, there's been too much going on.
Pull me up, please. Pull me up, because I've just been.
Ma'am, wait a minute.
Oh my God. Sorry.
That was so we, you know, one thing I think about the pandemic is that we didn't have any like mass shootings. We've had, you know, those we had a lot of protests going on, but you really didn't hear about just mass shootings, right? And I think there was one of the first of the year, wasn't it in Colorado?
Well, we had the one at the spa in Atlanta, and then there
we talked about that.
2 more since then. So there's been 3 mass shootings in the last 7 days or something like that.
So I don't know what's happening and why people are deciding to, you know, all of a sudden 21-year-olds. It's all at one time. So it's a lot going on. Y'all stay prayed up, and stay safe. Spring break is going on. Miami was lit. I think that was all over the news and social media.
They are shame.
Did y'all see where the boy opened the back of the police car and let the other boy out, and he was handcuffed and running on the beach?
Was that on the beach?
My God.
No, I didn't see that. Not funny. It's not funny.
It's really not.
Y'all, it's still a pandemic. Please continue to wear your mask and social distance. I don't care if you've been vaccinated. Just play it safe a little bit longer, please.
Just a little bit longer.
They have a lot of so we'll get back to spring break, but I will say here in Atlanta area, they have a lot of locations that are vaccinating large volumes of our community, 16 and older. So please go to look up your health department. Go Google it. They should be able to have the locations for you in your area.
Is that going on everywhere? Has everywhere changed the age limit?
In Texas, any adult can get vaccinated now. So that's pretty
the same here.
Yes. But going back to spring break, so I know our spring break is coming up like the second week in April, right after Easter, right? So, probably go down to New Orleans and pick up my mom and have her come back up here. What are you guys doing for spring break?
Well, you know, my spring break was late. Well, not mine. What did you do? Jayla's spring break was last week. Remember, we did the college tour.
That's right. Yeah.
In New Orleans. So we are back and kicking it. Track season started.
Oh, that's right. He had a meet today.
Yeah, I had his first meet.
He got a gold medal?
No gold. This wasn't. They actually didn't judge. You know, for this meet. This is kind of like the pregame, the preliminaries.
What is it called? A scrimmage?
Isn't that football?
No, they didn't scrimmage. I don't know what they call it. It's like a practice meet, I guess. But it was other schools involved, and it was nice. But yeah, we start up full force next week.
Cool. What you gonna do, Dr. Sylvia?
I don't get a spring break.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, you could have a spring break if you wanted to, though.
Oh, that didn't look right.
Now.
I'm good.
No worries. Okay. No pressure. No pressure.
Put it in the comments, Dr. Leah, so people can click the link.
I want to see. I'm trying to make sure this is right. Hold on. Let's look at it.
I put it in the chat, the private chat.
I know. I see it now.
This is our YouTube channel coming out.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. There it is.
So y'all click that link. She's going to put in the comments too. That way, if you subscribe, once we hit 100 subscribers, we can get a personalized link. So help us out there. That's free. You don't have to spend no money on that.
Free.
All right. So, Dr. Sylvia, do you have a surprise guest for us tonight?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah. She's so sweet.
Okay. So let me get into this bio.
Okay, get into it, girl.
Our lovely super friend tonight is the executive director of the District of Columbia Board of Pharmacy and program manager of the Pharmaceutical Division at DC Health. Y'all, that's really major. She is responsible for regulating the practice of pharmacy and the drug supply chain in the District of Columbia. She is licensed to practice pharmacy in the District of Columbia and Maryland. She serves as an experiential learning preceptor for Howard University College of Pharmacy. She is active in the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, where she serves on the Law Enforcement and Legislative Committee. She is also active in the National Association of State-Controlled Substance Authorities. She has a Bachelor's of Science in Biology from the Xavier University of Louisiana and a Doctorate of Pharmacy and Master's in Regulatory Science from the University of Maryland, Baltimore. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
You don't say that after everything, Leah.
And she was born in Washington, D.C. and raised in Prince George's County, Maryland. She gives back to her community by volunteering with local churches and serving as a mentor to high school students. In her spare time, she enjoys hiking. We got to talk about that. Traveling and spending time with family and friends.
You want to go hiking?
I hike. Do y'all hike?
No.
I present to the Three Friends Talk stage, Dr. Shauna White.
Yay! Hey, girl. Hey, friend.
Hey, Dr. Shauna.
Hey, friend. We're so happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Here, thank you.
All right. How's it going in DC?
You know, it's always an adventure. So we like to keep things going in DC. So DC government is a little different from federal government. Everyone thinks it's the same, but it's two totally separate worlds.
We're going to get into that a little later, that taxation without representation.
Oh, yes.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Is this U.S. government? What's going on?
Anyway, Dr. Cody, play your game.
Right. I want to have a little fun first before we get into those questions. So, Dr. Shauna, this comes a time in our show when we have a segment called This or That. So, I am actually going to ask you a series of questions, and I'll give you some options, and you can choose one or the other. But the trick is, the faster we can get those answers out, the more questions I can ask, so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better. And I have to try to beat the clock. And Dr. Leah is our timekeeper, and she's going to put 30 seconds on the clock. So that's all we get.
No pressure.
And I like to say that because I tend to ignore the clock, but I'm gonna be good today. I am.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So Dr. Leah, you got the time ready? And when I say go, you hit the button. All right. And go. iPhone or Droid?
iPhone.
All right. Facebook or IG?
IG all day.
Calls or text messages?
Calls.
Okay. Heels or sneakers?
Sneakers.
Staycation or vacation?
Vacation.
Breakfast or dinners?
Breakfast.
Okay. Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Rich friend or loyal friend?
Loyal all day.
Okay. Love or money?
Love.
Coffee, wine, or Hennessy?
Coffee.
Whatever. I don't believe that. I do not believe that.
Listen, the way things are going nowadays, I need to set up an IV of coffee.
Oh, not an IV.
A whole IV of coffee. Well, we did
coffee person. We can talk about that later if you want to.
Okay.
So you really are a big coffee fan.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Everything.
Oh, she grinds her own. You have that little thing, the press.
I do not do the French press, but I do like to get beans from everywhere and grind them and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, fancy. Let me just get my little Keurig and call it a day.
Girl, I promise.
I only do that if it's like the only option, but I prefer the regular old drip.
You're a whole barista.
Listen, I think I am.
Well, good. All right. Well, I will actually pass it to Dr. Leah. That was fun. Dr. Shauna, we have great Xavier memories, but, I think Dr. Leah wants to see if you can take us back there and bring us up to speed.
Let's take us back. Now, look, I can go back to third floor KD
because
I don't know if you weren't my neighbor, but you were like maybe 2 doors down, I believe. We were on the other end.
Shauna was
we were on the other end. Y'all were on well there in the dark.
The best side.
Okay, well.
I was literally
we go back. We're all third floor KD right here.
It's even better.
Yes, indeed. So take us back to Xavier University. What?
Pharmaceutical.
Oh, yes. Okay. So we can talk about Pharmaceutical.
No, Sylvia. Dr. Sylvia's trying to mess us up.
No, I got it. So Pharmaceutical is a popular denim brand. Very, very popular. Nelly even mentioned in his songs, Pharmaceutical. However, people from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area wore these jeans called Pharmaceuticals. These were for where everybody was wearing baggy jeans. We were wearing the tight, stretch, skinny leg jeans. So that was us. So I only had Pharmaceuticals. That was the thing to wear.
Gotcha.
Or bongos, but if you had,
that's what she remembers from back at school. You wearing that jeans.
Now that you said it, I remember it. I remember that now.
Yes, those jeans were expensive. They were like $60 a pop. That was expensive.
Ooh, back in the day. Oh my god, that was expensive.
That was expensive.
That was before Fashion Nova. $20 a pop.
Listen, and those jeans are good. They were nice and thick and everything. Now you get jeans today,
paper thin,
pretty much.
But I love some Pharmaceuticals. If y'all find them somewhere, let me know.
And any of our listeners tonight, anybody
y'all rock Pharmaceuticals back in the day?
No.
Let us know.
We were still on some Jabot jeans.
Yeah, y'all were on Jabot. When nobody from Memphis wearing no Jabot jeans.
Nobody was on Jabot.
We had been through that phase. We had been through that.
Y'all were true to it in New Orleans, though.
They really were.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
They kept it going. Thank
for
you.
interrupting your question. Sorry, my bad. Please re-ask it.
Let's go back to Xavier University.
Sure.
Shh, quiet you. So, okay, you received your Bachelor's of Science from Xavier.
Yes.
Now, Xavier has a pharmacy school.
Yes. So what had happened, right?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Right. So obviously, I was a long way from home from my family and friends for 4 years. I needed a break. You think you're having a midlife crisis after undergrad. And I was just like, I needed a break. So I ended up working at USP doing an internship there. And that's when I decided to go to pharmacy school. So I did apply to Xavier, Howard, but Maryland got my paperwork turned around fast. And I was like, okay, this is where I'm going. So
that little giggle, Dr. Sylvia.
I'm like, no shade to the HBCUs, but she's like, Maryland.
HBCUs.
Hey,
I love.
We already know.
Maryland, they were on it, so it just seemed like the natural transition since I was already home. Even though the pharmacy school is in downtown Baltimore, I live right outside of DC in DC suburb, so I just knew it would be an easier transition from here to there. So I lived in Baltimore for 2 years, and then my last 2 years I just commuted from home. So that's kind of how I ended up at University of Maryland.
Okay, so that was 4 years pharmacy school. So we all did the 4-year program.
Yes.
Only thing different from ours, we were Xavier and we did the pre-pharm. So then we went into pharmacy school. So it was 6 years. So you had your 4-year degree. So you already have a bachelor's. Then you received your PharmD, and you also have a master's, correct?
Yes, but I just got the master's in 2016.
Okay.
I got the master's in 2016. So my employer had a tuition reimbursement program. Mm-hmm. So basically, it was an opportunity for me to go to school, and I didn't have to basically pay it myself. So I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity. It's an online program. I was like the second cohort. So it just made sense. Things lined up, and I just took advantage of the opportunity.
Gotcha.
Good for you. What's the master's in? Didn't we read that in the bio?
She did.
Yes.
It's regulatory science.
Gotcha. Okay, we're going to see how all this ties together. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Together.
So, okay, Executive Director of the District of Columbia Board of Pharmacy and Program Manager of the Pharmaceutical Division at DC Health.
Yes.
So what do you do?
That's a lot to swallow.
What do you?
That's a lot of words.
Dr. Shauna, what do you
do? So, every state has a board of pharmacy or some type of regulatory board or some type of committee that regulates the practice of pharmacy. So the District of Columbia functions as a city, a state, and a county all in one. So we do have our own board of pharmacy there. So I would not want to say that I was not familiar with, regulatory affairs of the regulatory world. Most of us are typically not exposed to it in pharmacy school. Like I was familiar with, association work, APHA, ASCP, those, AMCP, those ring a bell. So
AMCP. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, exactly. So DC Health, DC government is a huge employer in our region. So I didn't start off as an executive director. I started off as a pharmacist inspector. So I did that for about 4 years. And then my current supervisor was leaving. So I applied for the position and I've been doing this position for about 5.5 years.
So so you supervise the pharmacy inspectors?
Yes, so I supervise the pharmacy inspectors. I have some pharmacy technicians. Actually, I have a supervisor that supervises that team. And then I supervise the licensing staff. I have a prescription drug monitoring program. I have a staff that handles that. I also run a continuing education program, DC Center for Rational Prescribing. And I also have a few other grants that I'm a part of as well.
So y'all, this is pretty big. So like she said, every state has their own board of pharmacy. She is that person for the District of Columbia. And sounds like she's wearing a few other hats. So I know in Texas, with a lot of my clinics, we have been having distance inspection, so virtual inspection. So have y'all shifted to that with your pharmacy? So every pharmacy is inspected by a board of pharmacy representative in the United States. That's just how it is. So in Texas, it's every 2 years. And since COVID hit, that has been done virtually. So how have y'all pivoted with your inspections in the District of Columbia?
Sure. So we have been doing a combination of virtual and in-person inspections. Now we're doing more of a combination of virtual and in person, but at one point we were just only doing virtual. And we do annual inspections.
Oh, really?
So what were the challenges that you found with virtual inspections? Because if it's a hospital or a retail setting, it's been a while since I've been in that world of pharmacy. But for what I remember, it's very detail oriented where you have to look at, a lot of paperwork, the inventory, the dollars. And I mean, how do you do that virtually?
That's a very good question. So I will say that everything is modified. So when you are talking about having to set up and stand up these programs, and I want to, shout out my great team who really, really pushed to change this in-person process to a virtual process in a short amount of time. Obviously, some things you just can't do virtually, right? You need to do in person, but depending on the practice site, because it's not only pharmacies that we inspect, we also have researchers, anyone that has a controlled substance or drugs in the city. So we have distributor wholesalers, we have researchers, hospital, everything is the same, but based on the practice location, there may be some modification. So we don't want to be in facilities the same amount of time. So we may ask for certain paperwork ahead of time, or maybe some virtual inspections where the person is actually over some type of audiovisual, Zoom or Teams or something like that. So really just depends on the site. But definitely had to make a quick change in the way we operate, because typically boards of pharmacy, they're inspecting all of the facilities that have drugs in the jurisdiction.
Sure. And I remember them being spontaneous. So does that take that out of that realm that you can't catch them off guard anymore? It's like, I'm coming and I need this ahead of time. So now they get time to fix stuff up,
Yeah, we like to call them unannounced.
Yes, not spontaneous.
Unannounced.
Like we going on a date. We going on an inspection date. That's what Dr. Quinn is doing.
Pop-ups.
I got a story about a pop-up, but I'm just saying. Go ahead.
From a pharmacy inspector?
Roll to the wrong way.
Bringing up old memories, huh?
Right.
And I could just speak.
But I was ready for them. Oh my gosh.
Ready?
Okay. I was ready.
So I can speak from my experience too as a pharmacist. So when I first started pharmacy, I worked at a chain store, and I remember getting inspected by the board. And then it was another inspection, like about 6 months later. I was like, wait a minute, you guys already came here. They were like, nah, that was a different office. Let's go. So it's never a good feeling to unannounced inspections, but I always tell everybody, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Exactly.
And that's what I tell everybody. And we're just looking for the minimum standard. So this is stuff you should already be doing in your pharmacy. So definitely unannounced inspections or surveys. That's kind of what my team does.
So you have a big old position. Do you have to be a pharmacist to be in your position?
Right. That's a great question. So it just depends on the jurisdiction. So some jurisdictions do have pharmacists in the position of executive director or executive secretary. It just depends on the state. For instance, in Maryland, their executive director is not a pharmacist. In Virginia, they are. So it just really depends on the state and how the board functions, though. So no, you don't have to. But I do feel like it's added value being a pharmacist, just knowing how pharmacy works, being in the stores, having experience. We all know certain things in retail pharmacy, how the stores are set up. When they say, oh, I don't have this, you're like, no, you have this. This is right here. Or if someone says,
you can actually be supportive, right? More supportive in that role.
Absolutely.
Right. Don't ever say you don't have this if you get inspected. Don't ever say that. Say,
like,
let me check. Oh, give me a minute. Oh, let me reach out to my partner. Just don't say we don't have this.
Right. So as a pharmacist, you already know when you come in where certain stuff is going to be in any pharmacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you already know those basic 101 things. It's just being in the atmosphere, having that experience, having that day-to-day experience is always beneficial to the role.
Absolutely. So my story about the pop-up. Okay. So
you're gonna let me tell my little spiel too.
I'm surprised she don't have a story about something tonight, but the night is still young. So this is my story about my pop-up. Not at all. Okay, so I was fresh out of pharmacy school. This had to have been right
20 years ago. We talking about
long time ago.
This is the most memorable pop-up, so that's why I still remember it. So, oh gosh, was it? It's not 20 years.
17.
Close enough. So
17.
This is like 04, and I just gotten my license. Like everything had just come through. So I'm really like summer of 2004, right after we took all these exams, all the boards. So I was working. I think it was an overnight shift because at that point you got a lot of energy. You work in anything they want you to work, right? So I'm working overnight at a chain drugstore. And it was already surprising because the store would be slow at night, and it had to be almost like 6:30, getting to that 7:00 time frame. And of course, this guy in the suit, he just comes into the pharmacy. I'm like, I know this is not a dressed like robber,
It's not a dressed robber.
Oh, that was a good one. I'm sorry using that.
Oh my God! I'm like,
this man came in as a dressed robber.
Young, I'm like the little store shift supervisor for the night shift is up front. It's all young people working at night, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking, is he trying to attack me? So anyway, he showed me his badge. I'm such and such. I'm here to inspect, but I'm like, show it to me again. I'm like, let me call my supervisor. I'm calling everybody, that I can think of. And it just so happened that I had just put my license, like, you have to display it in Georgia stores, right? So I had just hung it up the night before in my previous shift. So it just so happened that everything was lining up because I had the license, but I hadn't hung it up yet. So if it hadn't been hung up, he would have had to shut me down. So that's the number one thing. I was, Lord, I'm so happy I hung it up. But coming fresh out of school and I just had my training at the store, I knew where everything was. But I think it was just the shock factor. And it happened so early on that I was never caught off guard again. But, before we started, it was like a tug of war back and forth with me believing who he was because I was so skeptical. And it wasn't until my supervisor, he was asleep and everything. This is the district supervisor. I called and said, there's a man here. And he said, he was like, it's okay. Let him do it. I was like, you sure? His name's such and such. So he was like, Courtney, it's okay. This is normal. I'm like, okay, you come on in, sir. And I was watching him everywhere. And he was watching me. It was really weird, but I'm okay. Ever since then, it was great. But that was the BBI.
Wrap it up, B.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Dr. Leah.
Sorry. It was the BBI, Georgia Board of.
Yeah. Dr. Leah, on a scale of, and Dr. Shauna, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate Dr. Courtney's story as? 10 being the best.
Wrap it up, B. Wrap it up. That's all I gotta say.
Don't answer that, Dr. Shauna. You ain't got to answer that.
Listen,
He's a
I've
hater.
been in her situation before where people pull up on me. I'm like, wait a minute. Who are you?
Right.
Who are you?
I kill them with kindness. I say, oh, let me see your badge. Oh, come on back. Do you know Adrian? Do you know Chris? Like, I'd be like,
you start dropping names.
I sure do.
Busting in the pharmacy like you own the place. Wait a minute.
They don't really.
Well, see, so I think he tried my little spiel is that I work in specialty pharmacy. So I've never worked in retail as a pharmacist. And I've never experienced one of these pop-ups or anything. Like, we have Joint Commission, we have I'm sure we've had board inspections. Maybe they've never just popped up on me. But that was making me lead to another question. Dr. Shauna, what did you ever work in retail as a pharmacist? Okay.
I sure did. I worked in retail 4 years for 2 different chain drugstores.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced inspections at both of those locations.
Like me.
Okay.
So I will say I was familiar with the process by the second time it happened. And then it was in Maryland where I was working. So they have like 2 different, they have like the drug control people and then the board people. So it's almost like you get in 2 inspections at the same time. So yeah, it's never fun. I mean, and they were there all day.
Yeah.
All day.
And because I came from everything. And I came from hospital. So I'm more used to like Joint Commission. I'm more used to the. And that's hard enough as is because we actually have to prepare for that, and they can come and they'll cite you for anything like
a stuff mark.
Yeah, especially because I work in drug files, so they go and if they find you didn't put a leading 0 before this decimal point, so now I have to audit every entry to see what else doesn't have that leading 0 or that someone put a 0 after the decimal point, something. Oh my gosh, it's
very
needless to say, there are a lot of safety and control measures in pharmacy, whatever aspect of pharmacy you're in. And it's good to have people like Dr. Shauna in these places so that, it keeps
us on our toes.
Keeps us on our toes. And, everything needs a little color.
There's some kind of regulating factor in every aspect of pharmacy, even in managed care. You mentioned AMCP, Academy of Managed Care Pharmacy, and I'm a member of that association. And so with managed care pharmacy, we have auditors, right? So they have to come, but they audit us around the clock. So whether or not it's, a call center where we have outreach to members and providers and things like that. So I guess my question for you, Dr. Shauna, is, when did you find a passion for your role? How did you transition from retail, knowing that you wanted to then get into this type of pharmacy? Or was there a pivotal moment or something?
Right. So kind of like my transition into government. So obviously I'm from Maryland, right outside of District of Columbia. So I was exposed to government work a long time ago, before I even knew what a job was. My grandmother growing up, she worked for the Capitol, and it's the architect of the Capitol. So as a young child growing up, my grandmother would take me to the Capitol, to the credit union, once a week or once every other week, since her bank was in there. So that's what I knew growing up. My mom is a career federal employee that worked for the government. I think my mom worked for the Department of Treasury. She worked for HUD. She worked for the U.S. Patent Office. So this is what I grew up knowing: government work. Governments here are one of the largest employers. And it has contributed to a lot of, middle class, especially African American community in this region. So my grandmother would always joke with me, "You're going to work for the government one day." I was like, never, never. I would give her a hard time. She said, "You just wait and see." So in 2011, when I transitioned and I got my first day of work, which happened to be my mom's birthday at the time, I could just hear my grandmother just telling me, "I told you so, I told you so." So I worked as an inspector for about 4 years before I took this position. And I really liked going into the pharmacies, just performing the inspections in the different settings. So that's when I was like, okay, I really like this. This is definitely my calling. No day when we walked into the office was the same. Well, pharmacy period, no day is the same.
Right.
No day is the same. So, it was just exciting. And I got to go all over the city, right? So, DC is pretty small, relatively speaking, but my job was the city. My office was different places in the city, whether it's a pharmacy or, a researcher or a distributor, whatever facility that I was visiting that day. So that's kind of how I developed my passion, and just, making the connections, learning the work, just being exposed. I also did an internship at FDA my summer after freshman year at Xavier. So I got a little bit of the regulatory bug then, doing some research and, that's federal government, but still just having that government exposure. So that was helpful as well. And also my job at USP before I went to pharmacy school. So I've always had bits of regulatory throughout. And I just didn't realize that, all these things will have an impact on my career. So,
I didn't know if it was something like, you're in your retail setting and you're getting inspected, right? And you're like, I could do that. I want to do that job. You know what I'm saying? Was there, or if maybe you had talked with one of the inspectors to say, how do I get into this? Because if someone, go ahead.
So no, it was none of that. I knew they had a position opening.
Right.
One of my girlfriends at the time that I went to pharmacy school with, she ended up working in another part of DC government, and she just said, "Hey, they're looking for inspectors. I'm pretty sure this will be a good fit for you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, well, I'll definitely apply to see if it's a good fit," and it ended up being a good fit. So just taking advantage of all of the opportunities. So I think I know when people say at the right place at the right time, that's pretty cliche-ish, but the right opportunity at the right time. And when things aren't lining up for you, praying,
and you took action.
Yeah, everything is lined up.
And we love to hear that, on Three Friends Talk, because we speak to our audience that, we're not just in that one little sector as pharmacists, that there's so many other aspects of pharmacy than just seeing somebody in a white coat behind a counter, or knowing that somebody works in the hospital in the dungeon.
Hashtag non-traditional roles.
So absolutely.
To that end, what would you tell someone in pharmacy school graduating this year that hadn't really thought about this? What advice would you give them to open this door?
Right. So definitely I would just say you want to make sure that you do well in pharmacy school so you can get licensed in whatever state you want to be in, but definitely becoming active with that state, as far as, being exposed to the board meetings in that state, participating in the board meetings. NABP has a joint meeting with ACPE. If you can work with someone at the College of Pharmacy that you're at to possibly attend those meetings just to see how we work with the schools. And these meetings are broken down per region. That I would definitely just say, just be on the lookout, because you never know when these jobs are going to open. They're very, very limited. So for instance, we might have 5 pharmacists that work particularly in my division. So it's not like other places where there are like 20, 30 jobs, but just try and network, keep your, eyes and ears open for when these positions open. And once you start talking to people and, they start exposing you, you'll, definitely find your way in. I wouldn't say like you need to do a residency, because I did not do a residency. I feel like the additional MBA or business classes or, additional credentials always give you an extra boost of experience, and just expose you to just a different part of pharmacy or a different part of education that you can always pull on those resources and those connections. So those are the things that I recommend, but definitely getting involved, especially with, associations and, networking.
APA, AMCP.
And she made a great point, about the residencies, how much they push that on pharmacy students right now. My mentee asked me a question last week, like, I don't know if I want to, but I guess I need to. And, I was like, well, back in our day, it was kind of just starting. So, I can't really speak to that. I didn't do one. And Dr. Courtney and Dr. Sylvia, none of us did one. So when you said that, you didn't have to have a residency, do you think as a new graduate, it's still that they don't need that credential?
I don't feel like you need that credential, because like I said, some states, the executive director or executive secretary is not even a pharmacist, depending on what state you're in. Okay. So I feel like it's always helpful. Any training or any type of specialized experience you can have is always helpful, but I don't feel like it's necessary. I definitely don't feel like it's necessary. I think it's always value added to that PharmD, no matter what. And I definitely stand by that. Those basic pharmacy, that basic training that you have, it's
no one can take that away from you. Absolutely.
It speaks for itself. And I think there are other things you need to bring to the table. In addition to the pharmacist and the pharmacy degree, your ability to work with others, working
those skills,
character,
things they don't teach you in pharmacy school, and just being able to adapt and adjust, being able to speak in public, being able to go into a room and
demand
and have a conversation with someone that you don't necessarily agree with, and being able to express your opinion in a way where it is diplomatic and you are heard and not judged. So those things are definitely things that
you writing this down, Dr. Leah?
On a resident.
I didn't write it down, but I'm catching it.
You can send her that episode. Send that to your mentee.
Yes, thank you.
Is Dr. Al still over NABP?
There she go, dropping names again.
Yes. So
that is my classmate. Anyway.
Yes. So, I just kind of met him in networking probably about 5-6 years ago, just being in the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy. So yes. And I'm excited for him. His position is
what's he doing?
He's the president of the National Association Boards of Pharmacy. Yeah, well, they call it executive secretary. But yeah, he's the executive secretary of the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy. So he is the head honcho there. So it's a big job.
Yes.
So he works with
grad.
All of the executive directors, and someone just commented things that HBC will teach you.
Exactly. Thanks, Trina.
Yes.
So when you see other people that went to a HBC, you're like, hey, wait, and you all know the same people. Pharmacy is so small.
It is
very
don't
small.
Burn bridges.
We didn't go to Xavier family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you know everybody, pretty much. And once you start going to these meetings, it gets even smaller.
Yeah, I'm giving out jobs left and right. Don't burn no bridges.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Super friend Dr. Necker has been talking to Dr. Shauna. We just want to let you know she's talking. She said 3 friends plus 1 super friend equals 4 pharmacists killing the game.
I like that formula.
She wants the future and new pharmacists to know that we are the ones to watch. Okay.
This episode in particular, Dr. Shauna is dropping the gems for a lot of future pharmacists. So, and those pharmacists wanting to get into non-traditional roles. So this is a great episode for you guys.
I agree.
And I did want to mention too, I do have 2 other Xavier grads that work in DC Health as well. Actually Xavier grads as well. So, Xavier grads are everywhere throughout the DC.
I think we know them. Don't we know them?
Yes.
I don't want to get it wrong. So Shauna, you say.
Right. So Dr. is there, Dr. Sayana is there. So, these are all people that I work with and partner with and my colleagues. So, shout out to HBCU and Xavier for placing us in these positions. So I'm just really proud of, where we all came from.
We are
Shauna, aren't you Kappa Psi?
Okay.
No.
We tried to tell you to be quiet.
Oh
my goodness. Then she would have put it in her bio. Ayana is not who she mentioned. She said Tayana. Apothecary. But shout out to Dr. Kofi and Tayana.
Hey, Dr. Kofi.
They are doing great things with their pharmacy careers and as entrepreneurs. So love to have them on the show in the future.
I know them too. Yes. Everybody.
So Dr. Shauna.
Dr. Shauna. So I'm just so caught up in Dr. Courtney.
The Matrix.
My shenanigans. No. What, Dr. Shauna, what are you gonna do next? So we talked about what your role is. I want to know.
I was gonna ask, but go ahead.
Oh, so excited. I'm gonna continue. Dr. Shauna, right now we found out everything you're doing right now. What are you going to be doing over the next couple years? Is this where you see yourself flourishing, or is there another realm that you want to?
Right. So I see myself flourishing. I've definitely grown in this position. When I go to national meetings, especially when I went 5 years ago, I felt I was like, "Ooh, I'm the youngest person in the room. There's not too many people in here who are female, and there's definitely not too many, minorities in the room." So I felt like, oh wow, this is the real world. So now I feel like I have grown in my position, 5 years later, grown, and I'm not the new person anymore. I'm looked at as like the seasoned person, and I'm like, wait a minute, people are coming to me from other jurisdictions, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So when you mentioned, what am I going to do in the future? That's a good question. I do not have it all figured out. I do plan to flourish in my current position. Really look to have more visibility in some of the national organizations that are available, and definitely just continue to give back. And to me, that's the most important thing that I can do is share my experience, share my network, especially with young pharmacists who are interested in getting in this field, interested in the regulatory world. I don't have any big bomb I'm about to drop like, oh yeah, I'm about to start this big company, or
I got this.
I don't have any major announcements. Shade room.
It's all major, girl. It's all major.
But yeah.
This position is major. So,
exactly. It's all
major. You've been holding it down for 5 years. That's pretty major.
We're excited
for real.
People that look like us in these roles. This is amazing. You got to make it tangible for those to come after you as well. So,
and love that
all this on your shoulders. So what are you doing for self-care?
Oh, I do a lot of things for self-care, girl. Ooh.
Oh, let's get into that.
Okay, you speaking our language.
Right. So one of the things I like to do is I like to go to Trinidad Carnival. I like soca music. So that is like that is my thing. So in 2020, right before everything shut down, I came right back from Trinidad Carnival. That was my third carnival in Trinidad. So I like go enjoy myself, the music, the food. So those are the one of the things that refuels me. Also been to crop over in Barbados. So I travel with a travel group. Shout out to LPTS, Lineman Professionals, the Syndicate. Victor, like he does the best carnival trips ever. Is organized. When I say organized, you just got to show up. He takes care of transportation, everything. We spent some time in Tobago. I can give you guys a whole rundown later.
I need that sign up sheet.
I haven't been to.
I definitely will.
Trinidad Carnival. I've played Moss twice there, 2010, 2011, but I haven't been back. So it would be cool to do it again with these girls. So who do you play with? Line?
Yuma.
Yuma. Oh, that's who I played with the first year.
They talking Trinidad language.
The first year they came out. I loved it.
Who you play with? What
we played with
the Grizzlies. I play with the Grizzlies.
Because I'm going to Trinidad and I'm gonna play too. So
yeah. We with the Grizzlies and the Pelicans.
Right. So when you play with somebody, that means basically what crew you rolling with, what band you're going to be with.
Wrecking Crew. Wrecking Crew.
Oh my gosh.
Right. The bands are responsible for when they say you play Moss because you're a masquerader. M-A-S, masquerader. So you play Moss. In Trinidad. So you go out on the road for 2 days. Carnival Monday, you typically wear, just kind of flare and fit. You don't dress up. So that's like the pregame. And then you wear the elaborate costume on Carnival Tuesday.
I know how to pregame.
It's the same time as Mardi Gras.
Exactly.
Yeah. The correspondence.
That's why I'm never there because I'm always in New Orleans. So I'm gonna have to switch it up next year. So
I'm gonna switch it up.
It should be epic next year because did they cancel it for 21?
21 was canceled, so I definitely think they are planning for
gonna
22.
Be crazy.
Right. So we have to go and play with your group then, Shauna.
Yes, Yuma. Yes,
you have to be like the day it drops. I don't know if that guy does all that for you, but
all that is all taken care of.
Okay, well, you
got the details behind the scene.
I will say I've heard it's gotten a lot more commercial since I've been, so that's why I haven't been back because I had
commercial. Look, we got to go. So I just want to make sure I'm in the costume. I'm all about the big elaborate costume.
Yeah, you got
the sequins and the feathers and all of that. So
I still have my costumes.
Oh, yes. I still have mine.
I was about to say something real smart, but we on the air. So
I want to see your pictures.
Okay.
We're gonna leave that for our after talk.
So we're gonna get back to self-care and I'll get y'all updated. So another thing that I found that I like to enjoy doing, especially right now during COVID, like hike. We have a place here called Great Falls in Virginia where they have like trails along the waterfalls just to kind of get out and move around. I'm working from home a few days a week, so just having that, getting out, fresh air, that movement. I always like a good bath bomb,
Yes.
Those type of things. And I walk around the neighborhood, work out, and then I do an online dance class. And
right up my alley. Yes.
She's from Turks and Caicos, but she's a carnival junkie too.
Oh, I know that's fun.
What's that link?
Oh, I can show you. It's Rhythm by D. So so
looking it up now.
She's on Saturdays, Mondays, and Wednesdays. So I miss going to her in person. She's here in Maryland, and she definitely works you out.
Okay.
So
that sounds like fun.
I like to do.
Good.
Jump on it. It's time to watch the stage.
Okay.
I know you got me thinking.
Girl,
now, see,
all the info.
We don't get to see this side of Dr. Sylvia often. I guess we need to.
Oh, y'all need to go to a fest.
Mosey on down.
Well, so indoors, so we ready to go play outside now.
Dr. Shauna, did you stay at the Hilton? Where'd y'all stay?
Yes, we stayed at the Hilton.
You have to stay at the Hilton.
This is a separate conversation.
So,
what happens at the Hilton?
You just have to stay there. That's where everything is happening.
What happens at the Hilton, Sylvia?
Everything.
What happens at the Hilton stays at the Hilton.
So I will say a lot of celebrities are there and ended up staying at the Hilton. So I'm not going to say any names, but like one of the Real Housewives stars, we ran into her a few times. during Carnival at the Hill. Actually, she played with Yuma.
Mm-hmm.
So and
I say name Wendy Raquel Robinson was there.
So how do they designate
Ludacris.
who you gonna run with or play with or whatever it's called? When do you find out?
You do that. So it's like if you were gonna play in a Mardi Gras band, if you're gonna be in
That's
Zulu.
not the lingo. If you're gonna be in a crew with Mardi Gras,
crew. My bad.
in a crew.
So
she
you
said play in a
band.
I was like, what band?
Way in advance, like you would do if you were gonna be in a Mardi Gras crew. And
you keep saying with an S on the end, Mardi Gras. What is that?
Never mind. Okay. So she walks trails. She travels. And what else do you do for self-care, Dr. Shauna?
Right. So recently I have been cooking a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm in the house. So I'm a little kitchen chef. So definitely have been cooking a little bit more.
All right. What's your go-to? What you know that's it? What's your meal?
What's my meal? Okay. So, I'm a Maryland girl and I love some crab, right?
Yes.
So salmon stuff with blue crab. That's my go-to Old Bay seasoning.
That sounds fancy.
Oh, that sounds like Domino's.
Listen, it is my go-to. It is my go-to.
That sounds
good. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Now, Dr. Shauna, I do want to have you share how can our listeners get in touch with you, especially, other pharmacists, pharmacy students that really want to know more about the regulatory world. How can they connect with you?
Sure, you can connect on my LinkedIn page, and I can either put that in the chat right now, or you can just put my name as Shauna White on LinkedIn, or Shauna White Pharmacist, and I should definitely come up.
All right.
Thank you. Yay!
Well, I love this interview. I feel like we got some real pharmacy insights, and we also kept it fun like we always do, and we also got some real Dr. Shauna insights. So thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Absolutely. We'll have to do this again and catch up in Trinidad. Yes.
That little chuckle.
So thank you for putting that up as well. Please, everyone, we are continuing our initiative with buymeacoffee.com.
Dr. Courtney has had plenty of coffee tonight, if you can't tell.
/3 Friends Talk. I love the coffee. Keep it coming. I appreciate you guys. We appreciate you. So thank you so much.
Truly do. Thank you.
Buymeacoffee.com /3 Friends Talk.
Is that a / or a backslash?
Bye.
Bye, friends.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Dr. Shauna. Bye, friends.
It's one of them.